Hello everyone, welcome back to another review, and this time I'm going to be taking a look at the horror comedy that is The Final Girls. This film stars Tessa Farmiga, Arlene Ackerman, Adam Devine, Thomas Middleditch, Elias Walkhart, Alexander Ludwig, and Nina Dubarv. I don't know. I love this movie. This movie is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the slasher genre. I love slasher movies. Friday the 13th. Come on, Jason is my all-time favorite, as is Michael Myers. So this movie is pretty much a love letter / parody / homage to those movies, and it with a last action hero spin, which I thought was great. All right, before I get into it, the overall bare bones of this movie is Tessa Farmiga's character, Max. Recently, loses her mother in a car accident. Her mother also happened to be an actor whose claim to fame was this slasher movie known as Camp Bloodbath. So the movie's flash forward 3 years later, and it's the anniversary of her mother's death, and also the 20th anniversary of the movie. So her friends, host this little mini convention where they're going to play both Bloodbath 1 and Bloodbath 2 back to back. And what happens is this theater catches fire, and the only way for them to get out of the theater, they cut through the movie screen and they walk out. But unbeknownst to them, they end up inside the actual movie itself. And that's where the fun begins. So yeah, that's pretty much the bare bones plot of it. I'm not going to do no meat. Watch the movie if you want the meaty stuff. I'm just going to give you stuff that I enjoyed. Off the bat, the cast is on point. The cast is great. To me, the standout is Adam Devine, who is one of the actors inside the Camp Bloodbath movie. He plays that stereotypical horror movie high school jock to a T. The cheesy dialogue, the sex hormones that's running through that man, he's hysterical, and he has such cheesy lines that are just so delicious to chew up, because you just watch them and you're like, oh, this is what makes those 80s slasher movies awesome. These campy, over-the-top acting, the horrible dialogue, which just adds to the charm of it all. And it meshes with our modern day characters. So you get the 80s teens and the present teens meshing together, and it's hysterical. You got one character who doesn't believe a cell phone is actually a phone. It's fun shit. I love it. I really like this movie a lot. What's even more interesting is that the character of Max, and she actually starts to have a bond with the character played by her mother, who of course is not her mother. She's the actual character of the movie, but in Max's eyes, she's seen her mother, and she ain't seen the character, and those two start to form a really, really, really good relationship that will bring a tear to your eye as it gets close to the end of the movie. Like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it will tug at the heartstrings a little bit. But you also got this other character, Duncan, played by Thomas Middleditch, and I am Duncan. That guy is so me. This horror nerd expert who would just point out every single cliche, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and someone who would just be all in all of what he's seeing. That is so me. If I were to get transported into a horror movie with people, I'll be like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Wait right there. Wait, let that happen. Let this happen. Just let it run its course, and just don't be stupid. That would so be me. I also like this the character of Billy Murphy, who is an homage to Jason Voorhees. This guy who was tortured at camp and now is back to seek revenge. Straight out of Jason. I love it. It's great. Now, the thing that really handicaps this movie, unfortunately to me, is the PG-13 rating. And you can tell in a lot of scenes that they were trying to. There are certain scenes where they would go for it, and then there are certain scenes where they would just not go for it, especially with the kills. And when you're doing a slasher homage, to me, you gotta have an R rating so you can get, because the whole idea of a slasher is those kills. Think of it as like a joke, think of it as like a comedy act, right? The kill is the punchline. And if you don't get the punchline, then the joke's gonna fail, or the joke won't be as good as, or the joke won't be as powerful as it should be. Now, for this movie, they actually made it work within the boundaries that it was given. But I think if this thing would have been rated R, then you could have gotten some ridiculous, over-the-top, comedic, crazy kills. But for what you got, it was fine. And this movie did the right call by focusing more on the characters than on the actual, like, kills, and making parodies of, like, you know, the horror tropes instead of, like, actually, like, making fun of those horror tropes, instead of, like, because knowing it was a handicap by trade. So I give the movie that kind of credit. Yeah, that's pretty much. Those are pretty much my thoughts on The Final Girls. The director, you know, Todd Schauschland, if I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry, did a really, really good job with his direction, because the movie looks beautiful. Like, for a low-budget movie, it looks fantastic, especially the 80s, especially when they get into the movie itself, and it's like it's all bright and the colors are very vibrant. And he really captured that 80s feel perfectly. Like I said, with the costume designs, the over-the-top dialogue, the campy acting from everyone. And there's also this really cool scene near the end of the movie where the skies above is like thunder and lightning, but it has like a pinkish, reddish thing going on above, and others purple almost. And it looks really cool to see, actually. It's like this vortex. It looks really stunning. And this movie also does a really good job of blending its horror and comedy, because near the end, the movie can get pretty intense. It can get pretty intense near the end on the horror aspect, but you know, while also still maintaining the comedic vibe and not going too intense. Because a movie like this needs to have a even balance of a horror and a comedy, and I think it meshes it fairly well. So with all that said and done, I'm going to give Final Girls a solid 8 out of 10. This, to me, is Last Action Hero done right. Because it's Last Action Hero done right. And for that, and I love Last Action Hero. So for that, I can't really praise it enough. Anyway, I am AJ Legend. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll check you back next time for more.